Welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of Elon University to explore the stories, ideas, and innovations shaping our community. Thanks for joining.
Hello and welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks. My name is Connie Book. I'm the president here at Elon University, and I'm really excited about my conversation today with Sean Mikesh, a 2025 graduate, fresh out of Elon and fresh onto Broadway. And I just want to remind our audience, because they may have seen this really fun time that we had in New York City in May. So Sean had the honor and privilege of being selected to star in Broadway's Stranger Things, The First Shadow. And he got that offer just a few weeks before graduation. And he only had, a few days, right, Sean, to turn that
Yes.
around. Um, and so one of the faculty that taught Sean, Dr. Prudence Lane, emailed me and say, Dr. Book, is there any way when next time you're in New York that you could give Sean his degree in person? And so we captured that moment in New York City, street side.
Yes.
It was one of the most fun opportunities I've had as president. And we thought it'd be really great for you, Sean, to be able to share with our audience here what your life's been like since getting to New York. So I'm grateful you're here with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So walk us through that offer so people can put some context to why we headed to New York. So tell that story for our audience.
Yes, it's a bit of a crazy one. As you said, it was a few weeks before graduation. It was right around spring break. Everyone had gone their separate ways, going to Cancun, California. I had friends going to Europe. Everyone having a fun time for spring break. I, on the other hand, went home to get my wisdom teeth removed. Very, very lavish. Very fun. I was, getting off the insurance soon. So as a young adult, I was like, you know what? This is the time to get the procedure done while we still have the insurance to help cover it. And while I was doing that, after getting my wisdom teeth removed 48 hours ago, I then received an email from someone that came to visit Elon actually through the acting program senior showcase. Her name's Liz Frazier. She's with Carnahan Casting, and they needed an immediate replacement for Stranger Things on Broadway. I sent in a tape with my wisdom teeth out for 2 days. I sent it in. I'd traveled back from Northern Virginia back to Elon to film it. And then they liked the tape. They wanted me to come in person for a callback. I then traveled back to Virginia and then to New York. And on the following Monday, I did a callback, and I got a call that day that I was going in rehearsal on Tuesday. And after that, I believe that day was March 25th. After that day, it's been my life. It's become part of my routine, and it's become part of my story.
It really is exciting, Sean. So when you were in those callback moments, were you in contact with your faculty here at Elon? Were you talking? How were you preparing for those moments?
Yeah, going into just filming the tape and the approach acting wise, like the craft. I honestly looked back at what I had learned from my classes. And I looked towards Mike Torik's camera class, acting for the camera class. I don't know if it's still offered there, but his teachings helped me with the self-tape. And then once I was approaching the callback in person, I used what we learned through our professional practices class through the acting curriculum, where we meet every week and we do monologues, we learn more about the business, and I used that to help fuel me getting in those initial steps. Once I was there and I knew that I was making these next few steps, I called a mentor from earlier in my just acting life when I was like in the 5th grade. Her name's Kelly Gliptis. But I also reached out to Professor Kim Shively, who was a super, super big help once I learned I had landed the role and I knew, oh, wow, this is going to be a big change for
Happening.
both the academics and also just for my career now. So I definitely leaned on her to give some advice for what I should be asking for when I was negotiating a contract without an agent. Going into this without an agent means there's some pros when it comes to how you're, at the end of the day when you're getting your weekly paycheck, how that money's being sent to you, but also it affects how you're being able to ask for things in the contract, whether that be outs to go for film and TV auditions, or whether that's for time off, things like those kinds of things I wasn't super familiar with because, you're not really expecting to land a Broadway role at 21, turning 22 soon.
Yeah, before you have finished, really congratulations. And I'm sure it was exciting. It must have felt surreal,
It
when you got
was.
the call. You were like, okay, I'm headed to Broadway.
I was sipping soup because once again, my wisdom teeth were
Yeah,
freshly
yeah.
out. I was
Sure.
having soup, and then I picked up the call. We walked out of Ellen Stardust Diner. I picked up the call, and they said, and I quote, "Sean, we are so sorry to tell you that you cannot go home because we need you in rehearsal tomorrow." Very much one of those, that cheeky
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
misdirection, and I mean, I remember it so
Make sure you
vividly.
heard that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was it was such a touching moment, and yeah, thanks to Professor Kim Shively, as well as my friend Kelly Gliptis. I was able to, get started on the right foot and be able to not worry about those other things and really be able to focus on doing the role, doing the show justice.
Well, it was great to be there in New York with you and the opportunity. So I was really grateful to Professor Lane, Fred
Absolutely.
Rubeck, and Kirby Wall, who all wanted to, have this magical moment where we were able to provide your degree. But what was the most touching part of that for me was the pride that your parents and grandparents, I mean, who for folks listening, we had this graduation ceremony street side in New York on Memorial Day.
Hmm.
And so Sean's family had come to see the show, what Sean thought was to see the show. and
Absolutely.
and then we surprised him by showing up with our full regalia to give him his degree, which was a pleasure. You know what else I was really impressed with in that moment was how your new colleagues, your castmates on Stranger Things, also came out to cheer you
Yes.
on. Says a lot about the culture that they're uh, creating there on the show. So I bet it's fun. Tell us
Absolutely.
about the part you play and about um, how it's going with Stranger Things.
Absolutely. What I love to tell people to kind of lead off is that in Stranger Things, I play the Demogorgon, which, if you're familiar with the show, that is the monster. That is the quintessential monster that is tied to Stranger Things. So when I joined on, the track, my track title is Bandork, also known as Walter's friend. Walter is kind of this a bit of this antagonizing force throughout the beginning of the show. He's kind of like, oh, you think he's the bully of the school, and then you realize, hey, there's something a little more dangerous than a bully in this world. So I work with him a lot. The person playing Walter is Ian Dolly. He's an absolute joy to work with. And me, in my role, I do a lot of, I'm filling out the background ensemble, but I'm also understudying Charles Sinclair. So I get the privilege of being a ensemble member that's on every night. I have 2 wonderful lines. And then flipping, when opportunities like this occur where my overstudies, taking personal days or on a vacation, I get the chance to step up and meet Charles, who, if you know in the show, he is the father of Lucas Sinclair, and he is just, this he's this earnest, like, jock, you know what I mean? So he's got this kind of like broiness to him, but also he's looking out for the underdog. And that's what I love about being able to play Charles, is bringing out that underdog, bringing out that showing a little bit of a new side to the jock, like, hey, I do care, and I want what's best for Patty and Henry. Although Henry, we come to find out, is
Yeah,
the big bad.
yeah, yeah,
So that, in context with the show, has been just so fun. I mean, when I joined in, I didn't initially hop on stage right away. I wasn't initially in rehearsals. The first thing they had me do was watch. So I got to understand, what type of show am I walking into. There's a lot of differences between, for example, Waiting for Godot is on Broadway right now with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. In that show, we see an absurdist piece, so something that's kind of free form. You're able to walk away with whatever meaning you walk away with. But for Stranger Things, we're giving a very clear, succinct narrative that is leading into a show that already exists. So there's a
yeah.
bit of a different perspective when you're approaching that. So I watched first. After watching, I then moved through rehearsals, specifically with Brittany. And Brittany works as our assistant choreographer, and she helped teach me the dances. In addition to my one of my friends in the locker room, as we call it, our dressing room, Malcolm Callender. He helped me to understand where I'm supposed to be on stage, how I move through this, how specifically traffic wise backstage I make sure I stay safe and I keep others safe. slowly these pieces start to come together, and those pieces helped move me to be able to do half of my track once previews had started. And then a little bit after we had officially opened, I then moved into my full track, which included the prosthetics of the Demogorgon suit, but also included all of the tracks of the witches' costumes, the crew jumpsuits and moving the sandbags, all these other pieces that they were waiting to throw in for me, so that I could easily ease into this role.
Yeah. It's a physical right, physical production, just not
Absolutely.
just the dancing and all, but it's, there's lots of other, um, physical elements of the performance. Now, when I go to Broadway, I always open up the playbill. That's an Elon family
Love it.
that,
Yes, yes, yes.
publishes the playbill, so I always wanna support, that family, and then I start scanning to, see how many Elon, grads are in the show, and I'm always impressed. The Elon, performers out there on Broadway just doing great things. How has that been for you to be able to connect with the other Elon alums out in New York City?
It's been great, and honestly, it's been such a beacon of support, because because I was moving out here so quickly, it was very stressful, and I'm so thankful to my parents. Like you said, my parents made this possible. They helped move me in because I simply did not have the time because of rehearsals to move myself in. So they came up with the U-Haul, moved me in. It's people like that. It's people, for example, my classmates that also moved up. My friend Eric Hauk moved up here. My girlfriend Emily Stober from Elon also moved up here, and it was kind of nice to be able to know that my network was here, but also being able to reach out to people when we would go to like Broadway bowling and being able to meet up. For
Yeah.
example, Campy Rodriguez, who's also an
Yeah.
Elon student currently, is also up here doing Aladdin, and being able to run into him just down the street, down in Hamilton Heights. It's something that's really refreshing because it reminds us that the family's with us. Even people that aren't in the performing arts. For example, Brett Turnbull, who was a few years ahead of me in the acting program, he's here. He was doing acting. He's not. He's kind of laid off on the acting a little bit, but still, just knowing he's here, it gives sort of. It's like a hug. The way Elon felt when I first visited the campus, right after I had finished my auditions and I was debating where I was going, the way it felt was like a hug. I mean, it's the beautiful campus, it's the people, right? And when you come out to New York, we're in a new space, beautiful in a different way, but that the people are still there and that hug is still there. So that support has made doing these rehearsals and doing self tapes and then moving into, doing a podcast, going in and doing the understudy performances tonight. It kind of balances it out, and
It is a
it's a home
great
base.
network, and, every what I love about it is at Elon, it's not a competition. It's like everybody wants everybody to be successful, and they're willing
Hmm.
to help out, right? To help practice, run lines, whatever you need,
Yes.
to help each other be successful, and I've always thought that's one of the great things about the culture of our campus, or, everybody's invested in each other's success,
And I
and
think, like, what you're saying, that is one of the reasons that in a recent statistic that came out, Elon is in the top 5 schools that is on Broadway. So it's just a testament to what's happening at Elon, being able to have this conservatory-esque type of training for your MTs as well as your acting folk, mixed in with just the beautiful campus and the other wonderful majors around the school. That's creating artists who are well-rounded, and those are the type of people that when Broadway casting directors see that's what they want a part of their production. Because it's not just about the talent, it's about who you are.
yeah, it's a cast,
It's
right?
about how
It's a
you support
team.
your cast and your team, which Elon is its own team, its own family.
It's funny because, it was homecoming, at Elon, and we played Villanova in football, but
Mhm.
our band performed Broadway tunes,
I love that.
and, I knew we had this conversation coming up, and I thought of you because we had our voice scholars and our music theater students singing on the
Lovely.
field with the band at halftime, and I thought, "This is really a unique Elon to have, this kind of performance," but boy, did the fans love it.
Mm.
They were cheering them on, and they had some great performances, so it truly an Elon-esque halftime show. So when you were on campus, I also remember getting to see you in several of your roles here on campus. And can you talk a little bit? I know y- the you played the son in Paradise Lost. I remember seeing that. Can you talk just a little bit about the roles you took on at Elon and what that experience was like as a student?
Absolutely. Getting to perform, getting to perform in the different slots that the performing arts offers for the plays is wonderful because you feel different how different directors work, which is a mix of the faculty as well as guest directors, and also you get to feel the pace. So, for example, I think one of my favorite shows that I got to do at Elon was the Antipodes, which was the play that I did before Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
Both
Adam, you
shows,
played. Yeah.
yes, both shows took place during the winter, and I think that winter slot was one of the most refreshing things for me as an artist because once I finally was I had the opportunity to understudy during my freshman year winter show, but getting to perform specifically as Adam in that show in that time frame really felt like I was doing the real thing. That's and I now being on Broadway, I can say that is the closest feeling to being on a professional contract.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sean. That winter stock, I think, is what we referred to that period.
Yes.
So, for our audience at Elon during January, students take one class during the month of January. So it's this intense experience where they deep dive. They don't have any other academic responsibilities, and it creates sometimes students are traveling abroad, really intense environment, but then others are doing craft or other deep dives in academic areas. So I hadn't thought of that, but that is really true that winter stock is full time performance, prepping, getting the show
Yes.
together, and then delivering it.
And funny enough, for the Antipodes, which was directed by Scott Proudfit, which on a separate note is so refreshing back to just we have our wonderful faculty being able to direct us and teach us in class, but then also having people from other disciplines. For example, Scott Proudfit, I believe he's the chair of the English
English,
department right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
He came over and did helped us through with the direction of the Antipodes, which was cool to see from his perspective because he has just lived such a wonderful and enriching life, and he brought that to what we were constructing, which was a writer's room and very dropped in sort of contemporary acting, which was great for going into Stranger Things because what we're doing in Stranger Things is also bringing a sort of dropped in, almost cinematic type of technique. So getting to learn that with someone that was outside of the acting faculty, plus the winter stock time frame of it being you have 3 weeks and you are going to rehearse, get through tech, and then you're up to perform.
And
That
that was probably
combination
a
is the best.
stretch for him too, right? Like to have as an English faculty member to have this really I'm sure he what I love too about these experiences that you're describing is often we believe in side by side learning. So you're in this moment with your faculty and students, right? Trying to create, in this case, a great performance. I love that story.
What's also funny enough about that, I just wanted to add in, is that for that show, I was the last person to be added to the cast due to some casting. They were trying to figure out some of the casting logistics. I got offered the role of Adam a few weeks after, and I think only about 2 weeks before going into rehearsals. So similar to once again with Stranger Things,
Yeah.
a message from Antipodes is that life is cyclical and that you're always going to come back to certain moments that you pass through. And I think right now, when Stranger Thing, or earlier this year when Stranger Things picked up, it felt like I was re-looping back to that time in Antipodes, and I felt the cycle continuing. And now it's a matter of just traveling up in
I
that
do
cyclical
think,
nature.
Sean, when we stay present to life, as my friend would say, Connie, don't dim your light switch. Keep it
Mm,
bright, stay
yeah,
present to life that then you're there when the opportunities because you could have missed or not answered that phone call when the agent called for the
absolutely.
audition, right? You could, and you legitimately were having, your wisdom people,
Yeah,
but you were
exactly.
still available, engaged, and present to opportunity. And that's really how things happen. So what would your advice be? So a lot of times I'm talking to families, they know it's very competitive, our music theater program, and they're concerned that the student might be concerned or their parents and loved ones that their dreams may not come true
Mm.
that they have this dream. What advice would you give for those dreamers out there that
Yeah.
want to make it onto a Broadway stage?
That's a great question because that's definitely one of the toughest parts of this industry is that you could do everything right, and if you are 2 inches too tall, it doesn't
Yeah.
work out. But something that I like to remember, and something that I was thinking about during the process for the Stranger Things call was that, and this is a pretty popular quote, but opportunity or luck is when opportunity meets preparation, and you hear that one a lot. So when people are like, "Oh, is it just a matter of if I'm lucky?" And it's like, well, what goes into that? If you are prepared, if you stick to your craft, which luckily through Elon, we have a Meisner, Stanislavski based training, a little bit of Chekhov in there as well. That training and with a technique that is so easy to pick up, thanks to Kevin Audis and Professor Kim Shively, having those things and being prepared like that, even if your wisdom teeth are removed,
Yeah.
you know, and you get used to, performing self-tapes thanks to Mike Torik's class, those things combined, you're ready. So when the opportunity calls with your wisdom teeth out, you're at least ready to put your best foot forward. And even if you are 2 inches too tall or 2 inches too short, you've already made a good name. And back to what I was saying earlier about it not being about the talent, it's about being like the type of person you are, how you make people feel. People remember you. If you do good work, you stay in their mind and they will continue to call you back. So to those people that are, to those parents or even those students that are worried about that, I think that if you are committed to this, if theater or acting or performance, whatever type it might be, is something that speaks to you and it's something that you're dedicated to, like this is what I want to put my life towards, then that sentiment as well as the technique and the training will keep you prepared for when those opportunities come. For me, I was the right height. I was the one that fit the costume the best, in addition to being the one that sent in the tape.
Yeah.
Creating good rapport with the casting directors, even from just one interaction at a showcase. That's the kind of stuff that people remember, and that's how this business works.
Yeah, that is a great answer. And certainly we all know you can't help it if you're, 2 inches too short, but you have control over a lot of things in
You do.
terms of preparation and
Absolutely.
and learning and the mentoring that you're describing. You had to raise your hand for those, right? Like to be
Absolutely.
available for all of those
And
opportunities.
it's about even just checking your emails. I mean, like
Yeah.
that's something I learned when I got to Elon. Like I was, in high school, I was a, pretty good student. Academics was very important to me. But also when I came to Elon, there were things where it was like, oh, like I need to be a good student, but I also need to be proactive. I need to be checking my emails. I also worked as the performing arts like office aide for the acting program specifically while I was at Elon. And working those roles are the things that honestly I use the most when it comes to being an actor in the industry. Because it's, oh,
Yeah.
my agent sent me an email for a self-tape. I need to respond to them so that I can communicate, hey, here's when I'm going to be able to get that done. Or, hey, sorry, I have a busy week. There's important things coming up in my life. I can't make this tape, right? Being able to use those skills, once again, I learned those in my communications classes as well at Elon. Those skills are the things coupled with the technique and the good rapport that will make you, that will
Yeah.
hopefully lead to success in this industry.
Great advice. Well, Sean, thank you for spending time with us and giving the backstory to that event in New York in May at your graduation. I know people are going to be excited to hear this podcast and hear about your experience. And I appreciate your holistic view of your time at Elon and connecting those dots for people
Absolutely.
about how that impacts your life today. It's just been really powerful story and just reminding me about relationships and mentors and also great talented students.
We're
So
here.
you are definitely in that category, and I'll be rooting for you with
Thank you.
your performance as Charles. So exciting to see you continue to have good success. So thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with us on Elon Beyond the Bricks.
Loved it.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Elon Beyond the Bricks. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and leave a review to help others discover the conversations that matter. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.